The Dow closed 23 for the first ever and led by an unleashed stock. IB
down. Longtime American Express CEO plans to retire early next year, and the stock initially falls.
Headache aren't enough. There aren't workers to appear. Stories nightly for October.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. The Wall Street bull pushed its way through a big round number. For the further, the Dow above 3,000 one day briefly level. So was surging. This is the blue checks' 1,000 milestone this year. IBM played a big role in today's advance. Shares of Big Blue soared nearly 9%. Its day, 2009. On the back early result told you about. Earnings and global have also contributed to the seemingly upward rally. When all was said and done, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 160 points to 23,157. The Nasdaq just fractured, and the F100 was 2. Bob Pisani, why scare the day?
To be racking highs by the day. Here's an amazing stat. The Dow's moved 5,000 points in 18 months. That means the Dow has advanced 1,000 points every 6 months. Rate will hit 4,000 January, celebrate 5,000 May. Go here, work any. The market's selling because one has come to believe that all the problems of the market will resolve itself. Why? Because it's worked so far. This logic believes not going to be a conflict for you because it believes that will U.S. The market will pass. Everyone market will somehow be resolved. The market believes the record earnings will continue because the global economy will keep it and tax will add 2 or 3% a year. And most market believe not policy because it believes the Fed will remain just dovish enough not to rattle the markets. Call it stoner logic. That's what I call it. Dude, chill out. It's all work out. It will work, but the biggest market is the Fed. Normal markets disrupted by the ocean liquidity that the central bank provided. And who knows what will happen when that starts to recede. For Nightly Business Review, I'm Bob Pisani, Stock Exchange.
Told you early, M's soared nearly cent being 4%. Some are betting is but is this really a turning point for IBM? David Holt is an equity analyst at CFRA Research, and he joins us now. David, good to have you. IBM wounded for a long is Swan.
After looking at results and those, it's really a step in the right direction. We saw some positive momentum and recovery from keys have been lagging. Really, it comes, if we can care for, that stage in 18.
Youth of this has been looked to others in the market, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the overall theme has been overlooked by many investors. Really, when we kind of look at, this led grade on July 5. We have that vision from segments called growth strategic imperatives, which have, definitely delivered in Q3. Again, it's due if that can, but, leavers are at this.
Buy $100 pro on it, sit there.
There is consistent execution, strategic imperatives, delivering at least high single-digit, growth. That requires key segment, whether it's technologies.
I'm just notes saw growth rise % in Q3. Do you think it will carry over into the next quarter?
You'd hope so. Whether it kind of to the back of 18, just that normal of high mid-double growth, as long as that's intact, I think you could definitely see some positive progress.
On the spot, in your verse, I have many follow. Is IBM right your choice? Is it worth?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's compelling. Look, you have a rock bottom valuation trading at about 11 times, 17 or 18, in a pretty long 3.5%. Definitely play volatility into.
All right, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thank you.
The CEO of American Express will step down early next year. Chenault has chairman, CEO 2000, and is country's most African corporate leader. He will be succeeded by Steve Perry, an Express print, who was in charge of corporate cards. The move follows a difficult period for the company, which saw the lost Costco and in competition JP Morgan Sapphire card. Today, the company had a rise in profit, loan growth offset a loss. If you look at the chart, you can see the immediate rise in the stock when the earnings were released, and then the initial decline in the stock when the CEO announcement.
Attention today turned overseas as president about the world's largest key meeting Communist Congress. Eunice from Beijing.
She is in under for questioning the Air 60 and have reached any into Congress. President praised the chief the past 5 years and outlined his vision for the next 5 years in his second term. In his work, he said China's system with their he heard being for the party of corrupt and that China reemerge mighty force on the world stage, politically, economically, and militarily.
Today, compared to any time in our history, have never close to confident and of our grant of reviving our country culture.
On the President Xi presented the defense globalization, saying China would become more and more open. For foreign investors, he promised greater market access, faster opening and service financial sector, and pledged rights in China. Despite edges, many watchers, President Xi favors a led up to the economy. In his work report, President Xi promised to reform the state sector by making them stronger, better, bigger. That last year that raised among many investors, hoping to see sector draw the economy. For reports soon in Beijing.
Economic activity here in the U.S. is growing despite the impact of the hurricanes. Reserved growth as seen modest and moderate a snapshot economy, which as book did show evidence despite the tightest labor market in years.
And that tight labor market is a problem now for housing. Starts dropped than expected. September. While that now contributed to the down south, the real problem now is in a labor shortage, and that's worse because of those natural disasters. Diana Olick explains.
The number of Houston homes destroyed by Hurricane Harvey passed the expected to in the city all of 20. And in this shortage was bad, it is acute.
The resource drain to the rebuilding effort, that's going to increase the cost of housing and renovation across the nation.
Just after Harvey, the National Association of Home Builders ordered the administration ease up operation, saying a full guest program will alleviate the shortage in the residential construction sector, quicken the rebuilding efforts in Texas, support overall growth of Shen. So far, answer.
Housing market, the shock of an unevent. It can't shock because we are slightly wound with inventory. Any change is a big change.
The number of homes for sale is at a low. Family houses like are seen per their history. Sentiment this month by drop new homes and starts. In that release, even the NAHB's chairman warned constituents that be more days ahead. For Portland,
Read more shortage and headline NB.com.
Still ahead, on the eve of the 30th anniversary of Black Monday, investors are wondering whether a crash like that happen again. Speaker Paul opposes the term shore up exchanges for the Affordable Care Act. A spokesman for the Speaker said he believes the Senate should keep its focus on repealing and replacing the law. As for the president, he signaled for the deal appears to have reversed over insurance might bet insurance come too much.
We'll see partisan. We're going to see the bipartisan, and Lamar Alexander's working on it very hard from our side. And if it's happened that, but I won't think to insurance right now, the insurance being an Obamacare, not what he's ever saw, going to do anything to enrich the insurance companies.
Separately, 19 state attorneys general are asking a federal judge to force the White House to make subsidies that the president halted week.
And Trump's executive order usher in health changes significant might have more term insurance plans that offer fewer benefits than were required under the Affordable Care Act. One broker, for instance, is already new choice. Consumers look for option, but as Birth reports, the are not risks.
John Conlans, who did from a fract plan, the 45-year-old Bentonville contractor says he earns too much to get a subsidy and to pay for a trip from 100 to 6 a month.
Became expensive forward to create an approach buying health insurance.
Online broker eHealth says it's a problem for many of their off-exchange customers. Next month, leverage plan partnership with private insurance consumer for change.
Combination term insurance, gap insurance, fixed in.
eHealth will streamline the billing and filing of claims.
It's one place to manage all their benefits, so we're trying to do the work for the customer.
Trump's order that could pay for more short-term the off-market under the AC are intended to use jobs side of enrollment. This year, they were limited to just 3-month contracts. Still, some consumers are finding ways to use plans full-time insurance.
The temporary ticket renew month and the insurance plan, pretty standard, 20% co-insurance, $1,000 deductible. I added dental and vision to it. Cost me about a month.
And also have time about $1 million. Advocates call that coverage consumers insure the event of a illness like cancer or a major heart attack. And it does not include Obamacare protections for pre-existing conditions.
Individuals forward in a plan, that's a medical, TDA cover, maternity, mental, our cover less, also at a bad price.
But because the plans are non-compliant, enrollees could also be on the hook for the Obamacare penalty for not being at time. John is willing to.
Out of the and I kept money in my through the years for my.
For Nightly Business Report, I'm Bertha Coombs.
Wholesale jumps at value and then begin to focus. The supermarket post overall low, but tax acquisitions earnings beat by a dump. SuperValue said its recent acquisition of Unified Grocers contributed a big chunk of that revenue gain. The SuperValue said on is buying a Grocers, which is a food distributor. Lost nearly % at $7.09. Profit and revenue grew at Abbott Labs as rising sales in the company's medical devices and generics business. Its result, company also top end year earning range of Abbott were up 1 to 57. And pharmaceutical reported in preliminary from a study of its lung cancer drug. The biotech company said all the patients who were given that treatment saw some degree of tumorage. Spectrum shared 30 cents to finish $19.06.
Insurance current saying the plan provides the warranty group for $2.5 billion, including debt. Assurant said the deal will grow its global footprint, add to its existing services. Assurant share 6% 108. Well, United reported unexpected in revenue facing business options. Those storms. Shares of the initially rose in the extended session, but then fell. They ended the regular day up fractionally at 67.99. And eBay was also out after the sales line market grew in the latest. The company had more buyers to form. Results Mitswalk fell in line. Shares were initially lower, as you see there in after hours, but finished the regular day up more than 1% at 37.87.
Well, the first close 23, the third to the since Sunday. Chip index of roughly 3 remains the best ever, and many investors are wondering if it could happen again. Dominic Chu takes a look.
The investing today is a lot was back in 87. More $500. But that hasn't been the debate over whether another market crash like Black Monday could happen again.
Respect massive seen all day. It is a very hood. Would never say it couldn't in today's markets. In fact, there are a lot of factors in place that, if anything, make it potentially more likely than it would have been back then.
Factors that gave big market more likely to rise. Trades excess of the move towards investing traded ETF. If everyone's in the same investments, what happens if everyone wants to sell at the same time? But there are also a lot of really won't big market times.
That there's mass in this, even though the FB raised in December, these still supplying liquidity at a massive pace. Same thing for Europe, same thing for Japan, same thing for China. Second is the global picture is wrong, improving.
Trading safeguards are efficient today than in 1997. It's a trend for investors to continue to buy even relatively small drops. Another black weapon, anything. Wall Street, it's a scenario. For Nightly Report, I'm you.
Coming falling in or falling for a scam. Now that's a tease.
Here's a look. Watch for weekly claims will begin. Labor will also feelings active and more burnings are with Dow comes Verizon and Travelers reporting. And there you have it. That's what to watch for on Thursday.
And Ford, all more $1 million in North America to flash that cost the auto $206 will be in fourth. The issue is on some F-150 and F-250 trucks.
Not even billionaires are safe from first. Richard Branson, founder of the group of Britain's Mr. Michael, to get him to a supposed secret ransom payment. Branson was told that a British diplomat had been kidnapped and was being held for ransom by terrorists.
Weren't allowed to put up money for mail and for instance, they need to a number and to put up in dollars each to get the person back out again. And fortunately, I mean, real, but I checked, found that Sir Michael followed me.
Richard Branson's ex, the son had impersonated to steal $2 million from a friend of his by pretending to raise funds for hurricane victims.
Another well-known scheme involves jury and going on before it was a thing, but now has changed. Criminals are stealing using sophisticated methods, and they're raking in billions. Andrea Day takes a look at why investigators have their eyes on West Africa and why you should.
The same was with one after.
Just take investigators or the script menu, you'll in victims.
It didn't matter if it was male or female.
The script, she says, blasted out on dating site. Strategic line to starships. I'm hooked. Totally new online dating. If you were right side me.
It's thousands of people who have been defrauded.
NJ fell hard for a man who called himself Sam West.
It was like each other.
That he was overseas for, but was not what.
Real.
Government his name on the were used him. Were his identity secret.
It still impacts my life years later.
NJ and West, both victim to a multi-million-dollar Nigerian ring into prosecute opera U.S. years.
Happened to Nigeria for doing these crimes. Because Americans are target.
Came on all the way here in Gulfport, Mississippi, after his online stocks filled phones to ship Africa when she called.
That call took massive work.
Justice Attorney Mulroy, Mississippi District ASA Annette Williams.
We're a small branch office in Mississippi. You know, everybody's like, "What the heck are you doing in Mississippi?" This stuff.
discovered loads of across and into fake girlfriend a network of American emules, as investigators describe them, trapped by this romance scam and other methods. And she says those mules were then by the Nigerian nation.
You can move this for me, this for me, and they'd say, sure.
Investigators say the victims unwittingly helped carry out a bunch of money-making schemes, cashing fake and ship bought with credit card and ultimate wired money for
Probably different something.
Syrian criminal investigate living large by local standards. Homeland Security Investigations Agent Todd Williams.
Bragging money dealing for Americans.
Investigators spent tracking those behind when they real test wingling miss scheme.
Overseas on a government assignment, got a call from my wife that someone had come onto our property looking for me.
And she wasn't alone. Victims says of with them they net.
They've been wiring from what do you do with the top?
That Nigerian organization was recently taken down, with 12 pleading guilty and first found at trial or are charged. Experts say the game is over. The Pittsburgh West, according to the expert Coven, growing hotbed of fraudulent activity.
It seems far more collaborative. Cybercrime is a team sport there.
A group, he says, other and
we've $2 billion in the
and don't the same Nigerian
really are finely sophisticated schemes that are targeted to separate you from your money.
He says the West African act is all mine.
This region is focused on social on that.
Those are more like China of a tech or side approach. It's all about hooking you in with tidbits they find on social media and playing with your mind to send money versus sending faceless malware. For this report, Andrea Day.
Our website.com. More of scams is this one.
That does it for us tonight on Nightly Business Report. I'm Sue Herrera. Thanks for joining us.
I'm Tyler Matheson. Thanks from me as well. Have a great evening, everybody. See you back here tomorrow.